A massive alien fleet is stranded in deep space, suffering from severe damage after a failed assault on human colonies. The Alien Council watches from their observation center as they helplessly attempt to regain control, facing the brutal realization that their once proud fleet is now crippled. However, the arrival of a Terran rescue ship shatters all expectations. Instead of fighting back, the humans offer aid, an offer that comes with a chilling message and a promise no one anticipated. The Alien Council chamber was silent. The once vibrant room, filled with voices of authority and military pride, now felt suffocating and tense. Commanders, high-ranking officers, and political figures from various alien species stood there, eyes glued to the holographic map projected in front of them. The scene they observed was an unmitigated disaster. The massive fleet that had once struck fear into the hearts of the galaxy was now a disorganized wreckage, drifting aimlessly in the vastness of space. "We've lost half of our battle cruisers," General Shireth of the Zlorian species hissed, his voice filled with disgust. "Our command station is offline. Our ship systems are fried. Our propulsion is shot. We are stranded." "Impossible," muttered the council leader, Commander Zigar of the Vornath species, his voice cold and distant. "We should have overwhelmed the humans easily. How could this happen?" Zigar's mind raced. The Zlorians had thought that the human colonies were vulnerable, small, weak, isolated, but the humans had thrown every advanced military tactic and secret weapon at them, shattering their strategy. The alien fleet was now crippled by electromagnetic pulses, power failures, and massive structural damage. In the distance, the human colonies, once believed to be helpless, now appeared impenetrable. "They've learned to fight back faster than we could have anticipated," said Vex, an elder of the Krylian species. "Our forces are in disarray, and we have no immediate way of contacting reinforcements. We'll be stuck here until we can fix this mess." Zigar's gaze shifted to the silent hologram of Earth's flagship. The humans had been clever. When they'd captured their first vessel intact, they had analyzed it down to its subatomic structure, reverse engineering their way into advanced technologies. "We are not facing a primitive species," Zigar said, his voice now full of reluctant acknowledgement. "They're more advanced than we imagined." A deep silence filled the room as the alien leaders contemplated the weight of the situation. The human colonies had been underestimated, and now they were paying the price. But there was a deeper concern. The humans were fast becoming more than just a threat. They were a force capable of manipulating galactic dynamics. Suddenly, an officer broke the silence. "Council leader," the officer said with urgency, his voice filled with disbelief. "A Terran ship has entered our sector. It's heading directly for us. They're approaching at high velocity." Zigar shot up from his seat, his heart racing. "What are they doing here?" His voice was harsh, tinged with a mixture of disbelief and anger. "They think they can attack us further?" "Not exactly," the officer replied hesitantly. "They're not firing. They're coming closer." A figure emerged from the shadows at the back of the chamber. It was a Vornath scientist, Dr. Rasul, whose face was troubled. "Commander Zigar," he said, walking up to the projection table. "We've been monitoring the Terran vessel. Don't tell me it's another trick," Zigar interrupted, his patience thinning. "No," Dr. Rasul continued, his voice low. "It's not an attack. They're here to offer assistance." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. The Alien Council stared at Dr. Rasul as if they hadn't heard him correctly. "Assistance?" Vex spat, incredulous. "Why would they offer help? They're our enemies." "Because they're trying something different," Dr. Rasul said, looking toward the main holographic display, where the Terran ship was growing closer. "They want to aid us." "Aid us?" Zigar barked in disbelief. "We don't need their help. We need reinforcements. We need to regroup and re-establish our strength." But as Zigar spoke, something else was happening. The Terran vessel was no longer hiding. It powered through the debris of the alien fleet and stopped at a safe distance, its imposing silhouette now visible in the dark void. There were no weapons aimed, no threats issued. Instead, the humans were simply there. Zigar watched with an uneasy suspicion as the communication link to the Terran ship activated. A cold, unflinching face appeared on the hologram. It was Commander Alex Foster of the Terran Navy. "We're here to assist," Foster's voice came through, firm but not without a hint of something darker beneath the calm exterior. "Your fleet is crippled and we can help you. But make no mistake, this offer comes with conditions." The alien leaders exchanged confused glances. What were the humans playing at? They were the ones stranded, not the other way around. "Conditions?" Vex said with a hint of disbelief. "You are in no position to demand anything from us." Foster's eyes didn't flinch. "We've come to offer you supplies, medical, assistance and repairs for your ships. We can get your fleet back in working order, but if you don't accept our terms, we will leave you to drift in this void." He paused for a long moment. "We've been watching, and we won't wait forever." Silence filled the room. The alien council had no immediate response. The humans had come to save them, and in doing so had put the alien factions in a vulnerable position. They could not ignore this act of apparent goodwill. But there was a deeper question in Zigar's mind. Why would humanity extend such a gesture? What was their game? What did they expect in return? Dr. Risul seemed to sense the council's uncertainty. Perhaps this is their way of proving that they're more than just a force to be reckoned with. They've clearly shown they can annihilate us, but they've chosen a different path, Vex sneered. They want to humiliate us. First, they destroy us. Then they offer help as if we're begging. Perhaps they see this as an opportunity to make sure we know our place, Dr. Risul suggested quietly. The rest of the council, however, was still processing the implications. Their pride had been wounded, but Foster's calm and calculated approach was nothing short of terrifying. The humans hadn't just offered help, they had done it on their terms, in a way that made clear their dominance. And that, perhaps, was the most powerful weapon of all. Finally, Zigar spoke, his voice cold with determination. "We'll accept their offer, for now. But we will not forget this. We will take advantage of their generosity and build our strength once more. And when we are ready, we will retaliate." Vex finished for him, a look of unbridled anger in his eyes. But Zigar's gaze never left the Terran commander on the screen. "Let them think they've won. But we'll make sure Earth never forgets that the galaxy doesn't bend to the will of a single species." The Terran warship remained in view, a dark presence in the void. And despite their weakened state, the alien council knew that the fight for the galaxy was far from over. The humans had saved them, but the question lingered. Why? And at what cost? Foster's voice came again, calm and final. "We'll start with repairs. But remember, this will not be a one-time offer. Your loyalty comes with a price." And with that chilling statement, the communication ended. The silence in the alien council chamber was heavy, suffocating almost. Every leader, every officer present, had their eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the Terran warship, now in full view after deactivating its cloaking field. The once mighty fleets of the alien alliance, Zlorian, Krylian, Vornath, and others, had been shattered by the Terran Star Annihilator, a weapon the galaxy's greatest minds never thought humanity could build. Yet here they were, crippled and struggling, and the Terrans had come offering assistance. Zigar, the leader of the Vornath species, stood at the front of the council table, his chest heaving slightly as he tried to suppress the fury that had been growing inside him ever since the humans' first strike. He turned to face the others, but his gaze kept drifting back to the image of the human warship on the screen. The once formidable fleets had been scattered. Their most elite fleets lay in ruins, and now, to add insult to injury, the Terrans were offering aid. "I don't trust them." Vex, the Krylian general, growled, his voice laced with anger. "They destroy us, then act like they're some a kind of saviors, offering help like a charity. This is a trick, a test. They want us to grovel before them." "I agree," Vrex's counterpart, General Rill, a Zlorian officer, said bitterly. "But we have no other option, do we? We can either accept their help, get back on our feet and regroup, or we can die here, stranded in space." Zygar closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision bearing down on him. The offer from the humans was undeniably strategic. They had wiped out half of their fleets, decimated the strongest of the alien forces, and now they were offering to repair the rest. It wasn't an act of kindness, and it certainly wasn't out of mercy. This was a power play, and everyone in the room knew it. "Commander Zygar, we need to decide," said Zarek, a council advisor, his voice careful, measured. "If we refuse, we risk total annihilation. If we accept, we acknowledge their dominance. Either way, we lose." Zygar's mind raced. The Nazari had always prided themselves on their technological advancements, their military might, but now all of it was in ruins. The Terrans had stripped them of that pride, not with force alone, but with the quiet certainty of their power. The humans were not just advanced, they were calculating. They had made their point clear. They weren't interested in simply winning battles. They wanted to reshape the galaxy, to instill fear. "We will accept their offer," Zygar said finally, his voice harsh and heavy. "But we will not bow to them. We'll use their resources, repair our ships, and regroup. Then, when we're ready, we will strike back." He could feel the eyes of the council leaders on him, each one evaluating whether this was the right choice. There were murmurs of agreement from some, others less convinced, but ultimately the decision had been made. Earth had managed to cripple them, but it had also left them alive, barely. The galaxy's most powerful fleets had been humbled by a species they thought beneath them. And now, for the first time in millennia, the galaxy's power balance was shifting. Aboard the Terran warship, Commander Alex Foster stood still, staring out into the vastness of space. The Zlorian, Krylian, and Vornath fleets were scattered across the galaxy, each leader struggling to come to terms with the devastation the Terran forces had inflicted. Foster had known the moment he activated the Star Annihilator that this wasn't going to be just another battle. This was the opening move in a game of galactic domination, a game where humanity would no longer be a pawn. The comms buzzed, and Lieutenant May's voice broke through his thoughts. "Commander, the alien fleet has accepted our terms. They are preparing to receive our assistance." Foster's eyes narrowed. The humans hadn't given them a choice. The aliens would take the offer, whether they wanted to or not. "Set course for the Zlorian flagship. We'll start with them. The others will fall in line." May nodded, the look in her eyes both resigned and resolute. She knew, as did the rest of the crew, that the offer wasn't really an offer at all. It was a statement of power, a demand for respect. The galaxy would remember this day. The Terrans weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were shaping the future. The Zlorian flagship loomed large in the distance, its once imposing shape now appearing vulnerable, its power systems barely functional. The Terran warship, cloaked and silent, drifted closer, the crew preparing for the task at hand. They had no intention of just fixing the alien ships. No, they would make sure the message was understood clearly. "Activate the communication systems," Foster ordered. May hesitated for a moment, then nodded. The large holographic screen flickered to life, and the face of General Rill appeared. His expression was grim, his eyes shadowed with exhaustion. The battle had taken its toll on him, and now he was staring down the consequences of his species' failure. "This is Commander Alex Foster of the Terran warship." Foster's voice rang out, firm and unwavering. "We have come to assist you as agreed. However, make no mistake, we do this on our terms. Your ships will be repaired, but you will operate under our command. The galaxy will not be your playground any longer." General Rill's gaze hardened. "You think we will bow to you? After everything we've done, after everything we've built?" Foster's lips curled into a faint smile. "No, General. I don't expect you to bow, but you will follow orders. We're giving you a chance to survive. That's more than you deserve." There was a long silence, a beat of hesitation before Rill spoke again, his voice filled with reluctant submission. "We accept your terms, for now." The communication link cut off, leaving the silence to settle over the bridge. May turned to Foster, a questioning look in her eyes. "Sir, do you really think they'll honor our terms? They've never had to answer to anyone like this before." Foster's gaze remained locked on the view screen, his expression unreadable. "They'll follow for now, but when they rebuild, when they feel strong again, they'll remember the humiliation. And when they come for us again, we'll be ready." As the days passed, the Terran warship continued its work, moving from fleet to fleet, repairing, rebuilding, and reinforcing the alien ships that had chosen to surrender. The crews worked tirelessly, ensuring that each fleet, no matter how fractured or broken, could continue operating. But beneath the surface, the tension was building. The galaxy was holding its breath, waiting for the alien factions to react, to plot their next move. Back on Earth, the human government watched with keen interest. The political landscape had shifted dramatically. No longer were they the underdogs, the forgotten species. Earth had proven it could dominate, and now the question was whether the rest of the galaxy would accept the new reality or resist. Commander Foster spent countless hours in the war room, analyzing the data coming in from the front lines. The alien fleets, though weakened, were not idle. They were regrouping, recovering, preparing for what was to come. The Terrans had shown mercy, but that mercy had a price. And Foster knew that the galaxy would not simply accept humanity's rise. The same powers that had once ruled with impunity would not be easily swayed. There would be resistance. "We've shown them mercy, but they'll come for us again," Foster said, his voice low and contemplative. "And next time, we won't show mercy. We'll burn them all." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Humanity had begun to take its place at the table, but the table had only just begun to shift. The galaxy was still a battlefield, and the Terrans were only at the beginning of their rise. In the alien council chamber, the atmosphere had shifted. Where there had once been defiance, now there was only fear. The once proud fleets of the Zlorians, Krylians, and Vornath were now working under the Terran banner, albeit reluctantly. Their leaders, still plotting their next move, understood one thing above all else. The balance of power had irrevocably shifted. The galaxy would never be the same. Zigar, the Vornath leader, sat alone in his chamber, watching the Terran ships move through his sector. His mind raced with possibilities, each one darker than the last. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. But even in his defeat, Zigar wasn't ready to give up. "The humans have shown us mercy," he whispered to himself, "but it will not be forgotten. We will rise again. We will break them." As the Terran warship departed from the final fleet, Foster stood on the bridge, his gaze focused on the stars ahead. The galaxy had been torn apart, but Earth was on the rise. The war was far from over. But now humanity had a foothold that would never be surrendered. "We've shown them mercy," Foster said quietly to himself, "but next time it will be war." And the galaxy, for the first time, knew the weight of humanity's rise. The alien fleets had scattered, their once proud formations now fractured and broken. The Terran warship, cloaked and silent, glided effortlessly between them, a constant reminder of the overwhelming force humanity now wielded. The shattered remains of the alien command structure hung in the balance, and Foster knew the real challenge had only just begun. The galaxy was watching, but more importantly, the alien factions were reorganizing, preparing for what they perceived as the inevitable retaliation. On the bridge of the Terran warship, Commander Alex Foster stood, his hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the hollow projection of the galaxy. The war had been swift, ruthless, and for humanity necessary. They had proven they could not only survive, but thrive in the face of overwhelming odds. The Star Annihilator had sent the message clearly. The galaxy would no longer treat Earth as weak. They were a force to be reckoned with, and now the question remained: how would the galaxy respond? "Commander, we've received communications from multiple factions." Lieutenant May's voice brought him back to reality. "The Zlorians, Krillians, and a few smaller systems are requesting a summit. They're offering negotiations." Foster turned toward her, his eyes hardening. "Negotiations? After everything we've done, they want to sit at the table with us?" His voice was cold, almost detached. The reality was clear. These factions had underestimated humanity for too long, and now they wanted peace on their terms. "It wouldn't be that easy. They want to discuss terms of surrender, sir," May continued. "They're offering to align with Earth, but only if we promise not to destroy them completely." Foster considered this. The idea of peace, of mercy, was tempting, but peace on their terms was a farce. The alien empires were weakened, yes, but they weren't broken. They were proud, and that pride would make them dangerous if allowed to fester. Humanity had shown mercy before, and it had only led to further conflict. This time, things had to be different. "No," Foster replied, his voice quiet but firm. "Tell them we'll negotiate, but they'll understand one thing. Peace will come on our terms. They've had their chance to dominate. Now they'll pay the price for underestimating us." May nodded and set to work, her fingers flying over the control panel to send the message. As the Terran fleet prepared for the upcoming negotiations, Foster felt a tight knot of anticipation in his stomach. The coming days would determine humanity's future, but he was confident. There was no turning back now. In the alien council chambers, the atmosphere was tense. Leaders from the scattered alien factions sat in a wide circle, their faces tense. With anxiety, they had been forced into this summit by the overwhelming force of the Terran warship. Their fleets were in ruins, and their empires were teetering on the edge of collapse. But the decision to meet with the humans, to attempt to salvage some form of alliance, was a gamble. They had no other choice. Earth had made its move, and now they would have to respond. Zigar, the Vornath leader, stood at the head of the table, his expression grim. His people had been proud, once masters of technology and warfare, but now their technology was nothing compared to the Terrans. His species had been crushed in a matter of days, and there was no one left to save them. His pride as a leader, as a symbol of Vornath might, had been shattered, replaced with a quiet understanding of the reality they now faced. "We must offer them something," Zigar said, his voice low but carrying the weight of years of leadership. "We cannot survive another battle. We must offer peace or risk annihilation." General Rill of the Zlorian species, his eyes narrowed with suspicion, spoke up. "Peace? To them? After what they've done to us? How can we trust them?" Zigar turned to Rill, his gaze steady. "We have no choice. We need them to rebuild our fleets, to help us recover, and if we don't submit, we will be wiped out completely. They've already shown us that." Rill's lip curled in contempt. "You're suggesting we grovel before them, beg them for mercy?" "No," Zigar replied, his voice sharp. "But we must acknowledge their strength. We must offer them something they can accept, or we die." As the debate continued, a tense silence fell over the room. The alien leaders knew what was at stake. Their empires had been the dominant forces in the galaxy for millennia, but now Earth had turned the tables. The humans had the power to destroy, to control, and they had shown no hesitation in wielding that power. The galaxy was not the same anymore, and the alien factions had to decide if they would adapt or perish. Back aboard the Terran warship, the negotiations were about to begin. Foster stood at the helm, his arms crossed as he observed the readiness of his crew. The decision to participate in the summit had not been an easy one. Peace, at least on their terms, was a possibility, but it would require more than just words. Humanity's dominance had to be reinforced with every action. The ship's comm system came to life, and May's voice echoed through the bridge. "Sir, the alien leaders are ready. The summit will begin shortly." Foster turned to May, his expression unreadable. "Let's see what they have to offer. Keep the warship on high alert. If they try anything, we'll show them how quickly we can end it." May nodded, and the crew moved into position. Foster's heart beat steadily, but his mind raced through the possibilities. He had no illusions about what the aliens were planning. They were cornered, but they were not broken. If humanity was going to make its mark on the galaxy, it would need to take a firm stand and show the galaxy that Earth would never again bow to any species. The summit room was filled with the representatives of several powerful alien factions. Each one sat in their seat, a mixture of fear and defiance in their eyes. They had gathered to discuss their fate, but none of them knew exactly what to expect from the Terran delegation. Foster entered the room with May at his side, the other members of the Terran diplomatic corps behind them. His posture was calm, confident, and unyielding. He knew that these negotiations would be the turning point, and he wasn't about to show weakness. The alien leaders stood as Foster entered, but there was no sign of respect in their gestures, only reluctant acknowledgement. Foster took his seat at the head of the table, his gaze sweeping across the room. He wasn't here to make friends. He was here to ensure humanity's future. "You've had your chance," Foster said, his voice cutting through the tension. "Your species have terrorized the galaxy for far too long. You've destroyed countless civilizations, enslaved weaker races, and kept the galaxy under your heel. That stops now." Zigar, the Vornat leader, hesitated before speaking. "We've lost everything. You've crippled us, destroyed our fleets. We don't want war anymore. We want peace, or at least a chance to survive." Foster's eyes narrowed. "Peace on our terms. You'll follow Earth's leadership, contribute to rebuilding the galaxy under our guidance, and we will ensure that no one ever challenges Earth again." The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably. They had no choice but to accept. Earth had proven that it could not only defend itself, but it could utterly dominate them. "Consider this your only chance," Foster continued. "We are not here to negotiate for the sake of negotiation. We're here to decide who will lead the galaxy, and it will be Earth." The room was silent as the alien leaders processed his words. For the first time, the balance of power had truly shifted. The galaxy no longer belonged to the ancient empires. It belonged to humanity. Foster stood up, signaling the end of the summit. "You will leave this room with one choice. Submit to Earth's leadership or face the consequences. Your time has passed. Now it's humanity's turn." As the Terran delegation exited the room, the alien leaders were left to contemplate their fate. The galaxy had just been reshaped in the blink of an eye, and Earth had secured its place at the top, and for the first time, the galaxy knew. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The summit had concluded, and the message was clear. Earth's dominance over the galaxy had begun. The alien leaders, once proud and untouchable, now sat in stunned silence, their empires irrevocably altered. They had offered surrender, but it came at a cost. They would serve under Earth's new order. The weight of that decision pressed heavily on their shoulders, but it was a decision made out of necessity, the Terran warship still looming over them like a dark omen, had proven that humanity was no longer a mere bystander in the galaxy. As the alien factions slowly retreated to their respective fleets, there was no grand fanfare, no celebration. Instead, there was quiet resignation. They had been defeated, not by force alone, but by humanity's ingenuity, strength, and the willingness to use that power without hesitation. Back aboard the Terran warship, Foster stood alone on the bridge, gazing out into the expanse of space. The stars, once a distant mystery, now felt closer than ever. Earth had taken its place among them, not as a forgotten species, but as the new center of power in the galaxy. The galaxy would now have to adapt, bend to their will, or face the consequences. Foster's voice was quiet but resolute. "We've done what needed to be done. The galaxy will never be the same again. Let them remember that." May approached, her voice soft, but carrying the weight of their shared victory. "They've submitted, sir. We've reshaped everything. What comes next?" Foster paused for a moment before replying. "Now, we build. We ensure Earth's place at the top, and we keep what we've gained. We will lead, and the galaxy will follow, but we will never forget how hard we had to fight for this." As the warship sailed through the stars, leaving the shattered remnants of alien pride behind, the galaxy watched, uncertain of what was to come. Humanity had shown mercy, but it had also shown power. The Terrans had not just saved themselves, they had secured their future, and with that, humanity's rise was complete. The galaxy had been reshaped, and Earth had won its place among the stars.